Hello and welcome back to our How to Play Go series. In this lesson, we're going to work on capturing and saving stones. To save a stone, you must see first that it's an Atari and only has one liberty. So here, black only has one liberty left. In order to save it, we have to connect to the black stone and gain more liberties. So here, these two black stones are connected and have 3 liberties. Remember, they're not connected diagonally because white can still capture. So, with that in mind, try and save black stones in this next example. Here. Now remember the last lesson, you have to count the liberties of everything on the board. Try to find all the black stones that are in Atari, and try to save them by connecting. Go ahead and pause the video and do this now. Alright, were you able to find them all? So let's check. The first one we can see is this shape. This is the same shape as we just looked at, except it's a little bit sideways. Here, black extends, and now he has 1, 2, 3 liberties. So he saves the black stone. The next one is these two. These two only have 1 liberty on the edge. If white plays, white can capture. So black must save them by going here. And lastly are these two. They only have 1 liberty, so black must go here to save them. Were you able to solve that? I hope so. Alright, let's look at the next example. In this example, we have more stones in Atari. So go ahead and pause the video and try to find all the stones that are in Atari. Were you able to solve them? Alright, so the first one is this black stone. It only has 1 liberty left. So connect in order to save it. Next is these 3 black stones. You must connect. And lastly is these 2 black stones. Escape right here in order to save the stones and connect. So those are the 3 answers in this problem. Alright, so now we've seen about how to save our stones and how to counter on liberties, but what about capturing our opponent? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. So here, in this case, we see white's in Atari. So if black plays, black can simply capture the white stones. So let's go ahead and look at an example where white's in Atari and try to find the spot to capture the white stones. It'll be exactly the same as trying to save the black stones, except this time you're trying to capture by playing the less liberty. Alright, here's our first example. Try to find all the white stones in Atari, and then play the move that takes their last liberty. Alright, were you able to solve it? Let's go ahead and look. I have a white stone, so let's pass. And here, black can play here to capture these 2 stones. And likewise here, black can play here to capture these 2 stones. And lastly here, these 3 stones in Atari and only have 1 liberty, so black can play here. That's the 3 answers for this problem. Let's look at another one. In this problem, there's only one answer. Capture the white stones that are in Atari. The answer is to play here in order to capture these 3 white stones. If you missed the answer and played something else, and white connects, then you see these 2 black stones and this black stone is cut off from his friends and are in a lot of trouble. So it's very important to see this capture in order to connect your stones. And now white's the one in trouble. Alright, I hope everything makes sense there. So we're going to learn one more concept in this video, and this concept is called the ladder. A ladder is a type of capturing move or capturing strategy in order to capture a set of stones in a series of Ataris. Let's go ahead and set up the example, and maybe it'll make sense after I show. So here, white is an Atari. Let's say white tries to run away. If black plays this way, white runs, and white has 1, 2, 3 liberties. Let's think about the definition of a ladder. A ladder is a series of Ataris. So we need to put white in an Atari over and over and over again. If we play here and white escapes and play another move, white is not an Atari. That means the sequence is wrong. Well, what about here? Well, now white is an Atari, white escapes. Atari, 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 and capture. So a ladder is this shape. It's a series of Ataris where you force your opponent to the edge in order to capture him. A ladder is a very useful tactic, so make sure you remember it and spot it in your games. It may take some practice in order to train your eyes to see this in your own games, and make sure you avoid it, of course, for your own shape so your opponent doesn't ladder you. But it will be difficult to see this for a while. However, the more you look for it and the more you try it, the more accurate your eyes will get at seeing liberties and seeing shapes and patterns, and you can eventually find the ladder at a glance. Let's try another ladder shape. Let's try it from over here. This time, I want you to read the ladder in your own head and see how far you can get before the stones disappear. A good method to practice visualizing stones on the board when you're practicing to learn how to read is to put a ladder on the board and then practice reading out each and every stone of that ladder and see where it ends up. This is a good exercise for reading. All right, so let's go ahead and play this out, and let's see if you found the sequence and let's see if you got the sequence correct, and let's see where white ends up. So white escapes, Atari, 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 and we can see white's just repeating the sequence all the way to the edge of the board. And black captures. So one more lesson to note is if you find yourself in a ladder, immediately stop playing. It is better to just give the ladder as soon as possible rather than playing it out. Because if you just give it up here, it's only 2 stones lost. But if you try to run with the whole ladder, then black's going to get a lot of stones and a lot more captures. So it is a good idea to never play out a ladder that does not work or does not escape. All right, so that's it for ladders. There's one more thing to learn, and that is to look out for a ladder breaker. And that is a stone that when the ladder runs away, it'll connect to the stone. This is the last concept for basic ladders. So in this case, if white runs, white actually connects to the stone. And now white has 3 liberties, so there's no more Ataris. This is a broken ladder. This shape is also really bad for black because now black has cuts all over the board. And black will get cut apart. It is very important to remember, don't run with the ladder unless there's a stone that you can run to or there's a way out. And as for black, don't chase a ladder that doesn't work. Make sure you read it out first. Check where the ladder's going and make sure there's not a ladder breaker somewhere along the line. If a ladder breaker happens and you play out the ladder, you're going to have many cutting points. So it is important to be able to visualize where the ladder is going to go and what stones it ends up hitting, if any, in order to see if the ladder works or does not work. Okay, I hope everything made sense. If not, go ahead and try rewatching the video in order to go over the concepts and make sure that you understand each and everything that we went over in this video. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.